you got your throttle butterfly right here, right? Hi there, folks, and welcome to another episode of Michael's Backyard Marina. We're here to answer a few questions today on the old Johnson 35 horse. Now, people have asked me several things, so we're going to answer several things. One is, why has their mouse been chewing on my motor? At least the wires aren't bare. Sons of beans. But some people have been asking about the timing. How do you time the carburetor? How do you sync it up? And all that fun stuff. Well, it's really simple procedure. And I'm going to show you a couple things that you can do to time it. Okay, one thing you can do to time it. How I time it. And then we're going to show you a few maintenance things that need to take care of. Somebody asked, can you adjust the tension on your tiller? Because somebody was saying it was too tight. And I honestly was in the same situation last weekend. I took this boat out. I haven't had it out that much myself driving it. My son has taken it out more than I have as far as driving it, honestly, at this point. Just for the simple fact that he was always being my chase boat when I was testing other outboards on the old C-Nymph. But this was really stiff. I mean, when you're out under a load and trying to steer it, it was like, ugh. I mean, it was, by the time I went 9 miles, my arm was actually getting tired of trying to make these little adjustments. I'm going to show you how to take care of that. Another little maintenance thing out here on this little handle, I'll show you how to take care of that. So let's dive right in and take a look at synchronizing the carburetor to the throttle. It's really quite simple. Now I'm going to go ahead and take this out of adjustment just so you can see when something isn't quite right. So you got your throttle butterfly right here, right? And you got, when you rotate the throttle handle here, this moves back and forth. Right here, I'm gonna point it out, there's usually 2 little notches or 2 little lines of some sort to indicate throttle timing. And what that does is that when you're down at an idle right here and you're coming up to start giving it some throttle, when your roller is in between these 2 little marks, that's when this should just start to move. As you can see, this is way out of timing. Now some of them they have different types of linkages here. Some of them have a look like 2 rods that pass by each other with a clamp screw. This particular one has a little, I'll rotate it around here so you can see it. This particular one has an adjustment flange thing here. I don't know what you want to call it, but it's a screw you can loosen up. And as you see, when I loosen that up, that let that go and rest right up against that. And once that, and I like to actually take a little bit more of the play out, lift up on it, make sure all the play is out of this thing, and then I'll snug it back down. Now what you'll see, we'll back off, and what you should see, as soon as that hits here, and before you go past that second notch, you should see this throttle opening up, and this is wide open throttle right here. So what I'm going to do here is turn this. See, that's already moving. Which on this particular outboard isn't bad. It's just barely moving. And then when you get over to here, it keeps advancing. And then there's another mechanism. See how that goes to wide open right there? There's another mechanism coming into play. I'm going to show you that mechanism. So in order to get this to wide open throttle, where you hit right there, and then I can force this handle and get more out of it. But right there is as far as it's going to advance. And I want this to be pushed wide open without having to force that handle to go crazy. See, it goes right there with, I can turn that handle with ease to get to that point. Right to there. And that's where it likes to rest, right? I'm playing with the handle and it just likes to rest right there. It just kind of rocks back into a spot. Well, I want that spot to be that spot. This is where, when the throttle plate's coming ahead, you can see this advanced timing plate here. It's coming ahead, and right there is where it makes contact. And then from here forward, you'll see this barely move. But at the same time, while that barely movement there is going from wide open to giving it some throttle, timing throttle, and then it goes to wide open with more timing. And you can play with this till you get it to where you want it. Now what was happening to me before is for this to be in that position, so this is down, that position, when I got the wide open throttle, I was going to here, and then I was having to force it and hold it. But now I can feel that I can just hit this wide open spot and just hold it there without having to force the handle and get real nutty about it. I can actually back off on the throttle a little bit, back off on some of the timing. So we're gonna run it right there. So I'll show you how to synchronize the thing up front. On your throttle plate sync linkage here up front, and then you can make some minor adjustments back here. There's probably a good way to do it that's more proper than what I'm telling you, but each motor is just a touch different. Not all of them are created exactly the same, but I'm gonna run that one right there because after running it for a while, I just have a feeling that's gonna be so much better. Because what I was running into is coming off an idle with it just in gear, and you try to come up a little bit, this thing was like stuttering a lot. And these things like their fuel, so I got the feeling I was giving some timing but not enough fuel. Then once I got to a little further, all of a sudden it was getting enough fuel and it was smooth. So we're gonna play around with that setting right there. All right, question number 2. And I was doing all that adjustment with it in gear. That's the only way you can get it in the wide open throttle. Otherwise, you got this little doohickey here that keeps you from shifting into gear, or revving it wide open when it's not in gear. Then when you go to this gear, this pops out of the way, lets things move like it should. Okay, second question. Some people were asking, this thing turns too tight. How do I adjust that? Is there an adjustment? Well, believe it or not, there is right here. A lot of outboards will have a little screw right here. Now you can see how I can take this thing one finger and move it back and forth. If you tighten this up, it's just a half a turn there. I feel a little more resistance. Let's go another half. Oh, right there, it's really tight. And this is a lot tighter than it was now. Oh yeah, that's quite a bit stiffer. And you don't want this to float around too crazy on you. Actually, it's nice to have a little resistance, but you don't want a lot of resistance. You want to be able to control this thing and make adjustments under load. So when this thing's under load, so I can put my foot down here on the cavitation plate and push down. Now I can't simulate all the pressure that it's going to have, but now I can feel how well that's going to work with it backed off just a little bit. Another thing that may be causing it to be a little bit too stiff. Have you greased it? Now I just greased mine, and you can see all the goopity goo coming out here and up here. And this is a little grease zerk right here. Use it. You can sit here and give it some shots of grease, and you'll start to see this grease come out up here and run down and come out down at the bottom end. You want to grease this periodically. That's the reason it's got a grease zerk. It needs to be greased if it's going to be in the water. Yeah, this is working much better than it did a little bit ago. Okay, item number 2, or I should say item number 3. If your handle is wiggly, if it's moving independent of this piece here, this is going to float. This is rubber mounted. Your chances are you need to tighten this screw up right here, because you can have this screw backed off a little bit, and you see this handle will start to move. That's not good. You want to tighten this up. This should be tightened all the way up. Because if it's not, it's putting extra strain on other things. This should still move freely up and down, tightened up. What's this right here I see? This is another place to grease your stuff, right there. Believe it or not, and I'll show you how to grease that. I use a little needle greaser like this. You can poke it right in that hole and start shooting it full of grease. Once you get it full, what that does is grease the little gears in here and make everything work like it should. One last thing on the handle. On your tiller handle, it's gonna be hard to get it in here. I'll try to see if I can see it here. Yep. There's a Phillips screw right here. I'm gonna bring you around to the other side here where you can see it maybe. We're gonna have to introduce a little bit of artificial light to keep the show going. Whoa. So right in here is a Phillips screw. Now this is going to have a spring underneath it, so hold down on it while you're backing it off. You can see it's spring loaded. Hold on to it while you're backing it off, and it'll take a lot of stress off of that screw while you're backing it off, and it'll also keep from screwing up that last thread so it starts back in there nice and straight again. Now what you could run into here is something that's, you know, the grease is getting kind of old, getting a little nasty on you. Wipe off that extra nasty grease. Clean out your handle as well. Now what I found out, if you've got an older outboard that you're just messing with for the first time, you'll find this old grease up in here looking like dried up shellac and cosmoline. And your throttle handle will move extremely stiff. So with that being cleaned up, and I've cleaned up the inside of the handle, I will apply some more marine grease. Once you have that, now inside this is a flat shaft here with a thread coming into it. Once you have this greased up like you want, go ahead and work it back down on here. There, once it's back down in place, it should go back down to where it left off. And always hand start these and work them in gently. It's easy enough to cross thread and jack this up if you don't do everything I just showed you here. I've done enough of them to tell you that if you let the spring come loose, you know, don't hold the pressure down while you're backing it off, it jacks up that thread that wants to cross thread every time I go to put it back in. As you can see, this one here went in very smooth. You want to tighten this back up, because if that comes off, your handle will fall off. And then you will not have any more throttle control unless you put a vice grip on the end of that flat. And unless you carry tools on your boat, like I do, you would be screwed. Looks like that needs some more adjustment. I'm gonna slide this back a little more because I'm not hitting wide open throttle with this particular setting. There we go, now I'm hitting wide open throttle. It's just starting to move, and then bam-o, bam-o. This little roller could use a little love. We're gonna hit this with a little water resistant WD-40 silicone lubricant. I'm just gonna try to not get it everywhere. Try to catch a lot of overspray here. Spray it on it, you just kind of work the wheel around so it works itself around down. Oh yeah, now it's spinning like a free bearing, baby. Yeah. That was sticky before, now she spins freely. There we go. Let's just slow down the wear out process. Tell you, just that little bit of maintenance, I can't wait to get back out there. The steering is so much better. I've got it adjusted properly. The throttle is smooth to operate now, not a lot of resistance. Now that I've got some fresh grease in there and I've got it set up so wide open throttle throws that throttle wide open. And the timing's fully advanced. It can't go any further. We're good. There we go. Pretty much lost all of our lights. So we're doing everything by fake light right now. So now this air box was able to come off without removing too much stuff. Just the 3 screws up front and 1 screw in the side here. See if you can see what I'm doing. Well, folks, I hope you found this video informative and helpful. We did some touch up on the old outboard here. We did a few adjustments, showed you how I greased it, how to adjust a few things, how to make your stuff last just a touch longer. The other thing we're gonna do yet is I'm gonna drain this gear oil because I haven't changed it in a while. I just want to see things, how it's looking after a few hours of running. Make sure everything's holding together down there on the bottom end because gearboxes can be expensive, so we're gonna do that next. Wanted you to take note of the white poles right here and right here. These were salvaged off of another boat, a boat trailer. I'm gonna get some caps for this. Get rid of that. Yep. We're gonna put some caps on it. Make it look good. We did add, while the cameras were off, I added another couple of rod holders back here. Now I did have rod holders right here, and they work great for going straight out the back. But when you want something that's going off to the side and adjustable angle wise, this is the thing you purchase and this is the thing you bolt onto your boat. So that's what I did. Whoop. There we go. What else? That's about it. Let's get down here and drain this gear oil because I really want to see what that looks like. We got some weather coming in here and I'm trying to get ahead of the weather a little bit because I need to put this thing in the shed. And once it's in the shed, I can mess around with some other stuff. All right, let's get down on the ground and drain that lower unit. Now, on privately owned boats, I should say outboards, this is probably one of the most neglected. Where is it? The old Mer Cruisers, it's on the other side. Temporary lapse of sanity here. But changing the gearbox oil is so important to do. The cicadas have seemed to have quieted down. Must mean the storm is getting close. Because the last couple of videos trying to film at night was ridiculous. Wow, look how black that oil is. That tells you how much load these things are under. Because that oil went in, there's the oil that's going in, it's clear. The good news is absolutely no water. There she comes. This is why I'll actually, if I'm running my boat a lot, I'll change this gear oil 2 to 3 times a summer. Some people might think that's a little ridiculous, but it absolutely is not ridiculous for the simple reason it's cheaper to change oil than it is to replace this lower unit. And I don't get sponsored by these guys, but this is what I use. I tell people about what I use because I want you to be able to make sure your outboard lasts as long as it can. I use this Marine Gear Lube 75W90. This stuff protects against wear from water contamination. On the back it reads that you can have up to 10% water contamination and not lose your lubricity properties. That's kind of important. And especially for as little as these hold, like the old Mercruiser outdrive holds about 36 ounces altogether. I could probably change on a quart that costs you about 13 bucks. I can change this about 3 to 4 times. See, that doesn't hold much at all. But just like all the other ones I've shown you, I'll show you exactly how I do this. So let's kind of take a look at the ounces we got here. I'm sitting roughly on 24 ounces right now. This thing's pretty much done dripping. All right, let's go ahead and top her off here. You just pump this bad boy until she's coming out the top. I hear it coming up. I can hear it. We started out at 24, we're down just under 16. That's about 8 ounces. So you can almost get 4, but definitely 3. Nope, 2. You can get 2 oil changes per bottle. And I always pump in a little extra. Make sure she's full. You throw this plug back in first. Creates a little bit of a vacuum for you. So when you go to pull that, put the bottom plug in, you don't lose anything to speak of. I always have this ready to go in and start. You pull that out, do just like I did there. And I bet I didn't lose 3 drops. Now other people have a practice, and you can do this too. They'll have a little Vaseline on their fingertip, and when they pull that out, they'll smear that Vaseline over that hole and seal it up. And it's not a bad idea periodically just to go ahead and, on the back of these plugs, these are brand new gaskets that are in there, so they're in good shape, but it doesn't hurt to go ahead and change your gaskets out. I'll go ahead and wipe up our mess. She's ready for some more outings. Just that fast, just that simple. A couple of small tools, a good screwdriver, a drain pan, oil pump, and a bottle of oil. And this is all in real time. This is in real time, real easy. And as you saw, as black as it was, real necessary. Go ahead and prop it back up with my stern saver. Reclamp it down, and this bad boy is ready for the lake. All right, all of you have been a witness of the tuning that I did earlier on this boat. It's been about 2 weeks since I did that tuning. I'm finally getting this boat back out on the lake. We're gonna see if the new Bimini, we're gonna put that up. I don't care if the sun ain't shining, we're putting it up. And we're gonna see how that works. We've got these new guide poles on here. Hopefully those function as they should. We got a couple of new pole holders on here. We're gonna use them today because I'm gonna do some trolling. And what else we got going on here? But yeah, the engine tune-up, I'm hoping that throttle thing, I did start it the other day in a video for the sound deadening video. And I do have sound deadening under the hood. And we're gonna see how that sounds out on the water now. See if that quiets things down a little bit more. One person made a comment about the sound deadening material that only a couple of decibels difference can sound, to the human ear, can sound like twice as effective as what the sound deadening actually shows on the meter, which I thought that was kind of interesting. What else we got going on here? That's about it. We're going to use the old trolling motor. We're going to get the old 2-stroke smoke going, and we're going to get the banana wet today. Hopefully I can get you some good drone footage. It's just gonna be a quiet day on the lake, doing a little fishing, a little exploring on the lake. We use the fish finder to kind of look at some of the bottom features on the lake and see if I can see any activity. Let's get out to the lake and see what we can make happen. All right, folks, we're out here on the banana today. We're dropping her in after the tune-up we did. We're gonna see if it performs. If this I can already tell moves much freer with the adjustment I have on it now. We'll see how it moves under a load. I'm gonna go ahead and fire it up. Fires right off. We're going to get the trolling motor up and out so I can go under speed, or go at speed. Well, the adjustments I made were no bueno. It's not getting to wide open throttle. So that's not good. Well, that seemed to run perfectly fine without the air cleaner, or or I shouldn't say air cleaner. Huh. Puzzling. Let's make sure this isn't causing me the issues. You know, since I put all that insulation in there. She's running just fine now, no issues there. She's running up, I can hit 26 miles an hour with pretty easily. And the whole shot's good. Doing everything I want it to do. As you can see, I just took the air box off. That's kind of got me puzzled as to why the air box was causing me some issue. That doesn't make any sense to me. And I'll be honest with you, airbox is just a silencer, you know, and a place to support a knob and the choke lever. Quite frankly, I wonder if it was releasing the choke all the way. I bet it wasn't, now that I look at it. I bet I can recreate what just happened earlier. Let's see. I guess I'm gonna leave the airbox off the rest of the run. Why not? It's not helping it any. It's not benefiting me at all to have it on there. So we're just gonna leave it off and go from there. With the insulation in there anyway, it already quietens it down, so I don't need the silencer, so to speak. But yeah, 26 miles an hour with the Bimini up. How easy does it pull start? I haven't done that yet. Not bad. Just pops right off, give her a no wake speed. It does run a little smoother with some of the adjustments I made, which is nice. Be a couple of fish suspended here. I think we'll fish here for a minute.